The famous saying, keep it simple, stupid, and you have one get out of jail free card. He goes, the first time you end up in jail, I will bail you out. The second time, you're on your own. If you can do good work, that's a part of the puzzle. And that's the reason why they are all there. They're all really good at what they do. When the what hits the fan, who gets the first phone call? Knowing that their voice is heard is wildly important. And I think a lot of people don't get it. Just shut up and listen. Don't talk, listen.
What are some other traits you think that make for a great leader?
Oh, that's a good one.
Our guest this week is Darren Magarro, president and founder of DSM, a full-service digital marketing, advertising, and public relations agency. Darren founded the company in 2007 and has led the company for the past 17 plus years through many ups, downs, and yes, everything in between. He focuses most of his time on being a brand ambassador for both clients and the agency, in addition to leading all new business efforts. His passion and determination are unmatched, all while ensuring that DSM is community-centered and giving back. He brings an energy every day that ensures the people around him are on a path for success and feels that this is the most important part of his job. He's won many awards over the years, including being a finalist for EY Entrepreneur of the Year, NJ Biz 40 Under 40, Jersey's Best Marketing and Comms Professionals Under 40, and has led DSM to 4 Inc. 5000 awards. Darren also sits on the board of Backpacks for Life, a nonprofit organization serving homeless veterans based in Jersey City. He's a founding member of Behind the Scenes, fashion show that has raised over $2 million for Eva's Village in Paterson, New Jersey, over the past 14 years. Finally, he's helped raise more than $40,000 over the last 4 years to help the Tom Coughlin J Fund through running events with the help of friends and family. Darren, welcome to the show.
2 things come to mind as you just did that. That was beautifully eloquent, but it makes me feel really old. And 2, I think you just did my eulogy for me. So if my kids ever get to see this, Olivia, Luca, Tessa, Steve just did my eulogy. There you go. I'm done.
Well, you are far from finished, my friend, but it's really great to have you. I very much enjoyed our kind of offline conversations, and I think we're going to have a blast here. So
great.
I want to jump in. Yeah, I want to jump in, and I want to kind of go back to the beginning, right, of 2007. Lord knows there's been a lot of changes in the world, of course, but specifically, I want to get your take on from a couple different points of view. Agency world. Let's just start there. Since 2007, give me some things, give our listeners some things that changed in the agency world since 2007.
I could give them a bigger list of what hasn't changed. The whole landscape's changed. The way an agency operates, I think from a very high level, like let's just go to the foundational piece. I think it's really, really important to understand that DSM, you'll see in the background here, I'm in my basement right now. For the, right out of the gate, within 2 years of us starting DSM in 07, we were physically in an office space, and we thought that's where we had to be in order to validate ourselves as both an agency and as human beings. You can take that and basically throw it out the window. We're a digital agency. In 2022, we were able to get out of our office space, and we had many iterations of an office. We had a small office, and then we moved to a bigger office that we had built out back in 2017. Now we're all working remote, and you could talk to COVID, but even before that, the whole concept of having a digital agency. If we're a digital agency, in theory, we should be able to work remote better than, in the concept of an agency. And I know everybody loves to get together with ideas and iteration and things like that. But in the concept of doing actual work, the last 2.5 years, it's been seamless. We never missed a beat. It's a testament to the people that have worked at the agency. But the whole concept of an agency, within 4 walls, it's non-existent. There are certain places that you need to be, we still have an office that we can go to with one of our vendors that, we can all be together for a day. But that whole concept of being within 4 walls, I think is moot now in 2024. The second thing is going back to the point of what an agency is. Back when I started in 07, digital wasn't even a thing yet. It was a thing, but it wasn't where it is today. And as the evolution has happened with the agency, we're now 85 to 90% of our billings are now digital versus in '07 where, my training, I cut my teeth in Manhattan as a media buyer for television. Everything was traditional, and then we added my first partner in the business who was our creative director. Obviously you need a creative if you're going to be doing, it doesn't matter if you're doing digital or you're doing, TV, print, radio, whatever. But like the idea that the whole agency model has flipped because now we're doing pretty much all digital. And day one, when we started, the digital wasn't a thing. Maybe it was a little thing. There was an inkling of a thing, but it wasn't what it is today. So I think from those two standpoints, working within four walls and then what the agency model was in terms of the actual work we were producing back in '07, it's totally flipped on its head.
How do you think, let me kind of put you on the person on the other side of the table, if you will. How do you think marketers look at agencies now compared to then?
It all depends on the marketer. For us, it's always been about, like when I started this, we had nothing. So it was just like, we were like focusing on really small businesses. The marketer today, I think, has evolved with the agency model, or at least the good marketers have. So getting work done. And I think it's COVID hit. There was a tipping point of like everybody being out of the office. And now there's a lot of people or a lot of big companies that are trying to get back into the office. I think that at some point in the next year or 2 years, there's going to be a balance point, like it's not going to be like the pendulum's swung really far one way and then it's swinging back. Like people, like big companies are pushing back to get people back in the office. But I think that iteration of what the office was pre-COVID is dead. And so I think that if we're smart about it, I think there's a hybrid model, like balance, like everything in life. It's about balance. It's somewhere in the middle. Like you hear people talking about 4-day work weeks, and will that be the thing in the next, 5 to 10 years or whatever? Like, I don't know. In my mind and the way we work at DSM, I don't bust people's chops about getting stuff done. It's just not the way I am. Like I'm not a micromanager in that sense. Like get your stuff done. If you're getting your stuff done, go take your family out at 3:00 on a Thursday on a holiday weekend like we are today. Like, I don't care. As long as your stuff, you are hired as an adult to be responsible. So at the core, and we're very lucky at the agency that from the oldest folks down to the youngest folks, everybody is responsible. And that allows me to not be a micromanager. So I think it goes down like a layer, like it's who you hire, what their values are, how they handle their business. As far as I'm concerned, if you're a marketer these days, find a company that does good work and that cares. If they care and they're smart and they're good individuals and good human beings, that mixture is going to create a really good work product.
Yeah. It sounds, I'm chuckling only because it sounds so simple, right? But we both know a lot of people overcomplicate so many things.
Yeah. The overcomplication thing, I'm not an overcomplicated guy. It's funny you say that. I was actually just having this conversation with my wife. She asked me, I have kids in school now. And so she's like, when's the dead week? We have a dead week where everybody's off in like August every year at the beginning of every year and at the beginning of every month of August. And she asked me this week, she's like, when's dead week next year? I'm like, are you for real? Like dead week next year? We haven't even finished August this year. Yeah. You're asking me what dead. She's like, well, I'm trying to plan. I'm like, I'm all about planning, but like, let's plan for next Friday, next dead week. Like, well, I want to plan I want to plan a vacation. Like, okay, and I came through with that. I got the dead week. Thank God our CFO, Charlene, her kids are still in high school sports too. So she had the dead week nailed down already, but why are we overcomplicating things?
Right.
I agree. Keep it simple. It was my dad. My dad was an old school guy. People that know me, my dad passed away when I was 18. I was a product of a second marriage. He was born in 1927. So when he had me, he was like 50, back in the late 70s. And his big thing was always kiss. Keep it simple, stupid. Like my dad he didn't even finish high school. He was a pretty successful entrepreneur, but it was like, why are we, and at that point in my life, it was all about like, I was getting overwhelmed with like college prep and high school football and baseball. And he's like, just keep it simple. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
So it was kind of ingrained in me early in that sense, because I had an old school dad.
Yeah. You definitely, it just inherent, right, from your father.
I didn't have a choice. My dad was a tough guy, like loved the dude to death, but like you got one chance, like there was one opportunity to hear what he had to say. And after that, like, and he was the calmest dude. My mom was the type A and my dad is like type Z or was type Z. But like when you got him over that like pinnacle, if you pushed him over the edge, like that was it. He was older, he wasn't fast, but strong. And, that was, it was like, he told you once. And after that, like he was totally chill about it. But like after that, bro, you're on your own. The famous saying, keep it simple, stupid, and you have one get out of jail free card.
Yep.
He goes, the first time you end up in jail, I will bail you out. The second time, you're on your own. Mm-hmm. I always took that to heart.
I love that. I love that. Hey, sorry for the interruption. We're going to get back to our show in one quick second, but stay with me. If you're in the need for anything SEO and or link building related, you need to do yourself one quick favor. You need to go to the website that's on the screen right now, stanventures.com. Go there, tell them Steve O sent you. The rest will take care of itself. Trust me. You can thank me later. Let's look at, I still want to stay in the past for a second there's been so much that's changed just in the world of marketing at large since 2007. Back then, like you said, digital was, I don't even know if people knew what the word meant, let alone something like, imagine bringing up something like a TikTok or an Instagram back then. You would have thought people would have thought you had three heads, right?
Yep.
So the way marketers and brands and advertisers engage and communicate with consumers and buyers has just exploded, especially over the past 3 to 5 years, let alone the past 17 years, right? So talk a little bit about that. What have you seen, in terms of big changes when it comes to just marketing and engaging consumers and different channels?
Yeah, you see it. It's evolution happening. It's like Darwinism happening in real time. Our motto and mantra at DSM is, and Dan does a really good job. So let me take it up a level. A level up from that, our VP of strategy, Dan, if you are like me and didn't grow up in the marketing world, like I was a negotiator of media, find someone who's really good at it and has a passion and an energy for the endless amount of information and data and evolution, so to speak, of what's happening in the marketing world. Because if you blink, it's already gone. So having that person, like one of my biggest strengths as an entrepreneur, we've had this conversation, is being able to delegate. I'm not a micromanager. Okay. Surrounding myself with really great people, whether it's our COO, Zinka, who's really good at operations and management, whether it's our CFO, Charlene, who came from, the JP Morgan world and is really great with numbers. Like, our accountant, the first time I did the books, the first 7 years of the company, Charlene came on and my accountant was like, don't ever touch anything again financially. I don't like the file that she sent over the first year we had to do taxes. He's like, this was the quickest set of taxes we've ever had to do, because everything was like, every T was crossed, every I was dotted. So finding the right people. But with Dan's now been at DSM probably coming on 7 years. It's about finding somebody who loves to devour information, because if you are in marketing today and you're good at it, like you really have to be devouring information at a clip that frankly, one, I don't do well, but two, I'm not really interested in. So it's finding that person. It's giving them the platform to be able to be successful. And when I say like we let Dan run with stuff, like he's always bringing new things to us. He's always making, suggestions. He's always looking at new opportunities for him and his team. But then my job as the owner of the company is to make sure that they have every mean available and necessary that they can do their jobs well. So the reason that we have been successful is we hired the right people. We gave them the platform and the opportunity to not only do well for themselves, but to hire, like now we have a 4-person, marketing team, 4.5 now with Michelle. We just hired this young lady, Michelle, she's her first day technically is in September, but she was interning with us over the summer, giving Dan the means to be able to go out, find the resources that he needs, giving him the freedom to be able to research new opportunities. Then from there, to be able to build out his team with people that complement his skill set, that do things that are really, like he does some stuff really well. And every other part of the team, Clayton, has another skill set that complements Dan, and Isabel has another skill set that complements Dan and Clayton, and Emily has another skill set so they all work together. They're teaching each other, but they all have specific strengths and weaknesses within the marketing team. So I think that's vitally important for a good marketer. Curiosity. If you're going to work in an agency, making sure you have a platform to grow and to be able to be curious. And then from the agency's leader, making sure that the team has the resources that they need to be successful.
Yeah. And you did a perfect segue into part 2 here, if you will, of what I want to talk to you about. And that's what the future looks like. And you already touched on it, marketers and curiosity. And I could not agree more, especially like you said, what's new now is old in 30 seconds kind of thing, right? I think that's so vitally important for anybody in any industry to stay constantly curious, but especially I think in our world.
Yeah. I mean, going forward, like I said, Dan is bringing, Dan and now Clayton, who's been, promoted to senior manager, like these guys are giving the freedom to the, Emily and Isabel and hopefully Michelle when, she starts to be able to be as curious as they are. I mean, in marketing for me, the biggest thing that I see on the digital side as we go into the future is the technology. Obviously, everybody's touch point, AI. What is it going to be? How are we going to use it? The beauty of AI is that it's subjective. So there are certain things that it does well. I think over the next 5 years, 3 to 5 years, there's going to be myriad applications where people are going to see that it was helpful, where today where you and I are sitting, we haven't even scratched the surface of it or explored that particular usage. I know why how we use it and why we use it and how it's helping us. But there's a community too. Like that's the beauty of digital marketing in my eyes. There's a community happening where Dan talks to other agency marketing directors or VPs of market or whatever. And so that sharing of knowledge, I think, is going to be important. And that in the future, AI right now, we're probably using 3 to 5% of what it's going to be in another 2 years, in another year, like the applications, the usage, how it can be helpful, how it can be save time, how it can, ultimately. And that's another thing too. For me, the biggest thing, we're a 16-person agency. AI for us is always going to be useful, but it's never going to replace a human relationship.
Right.
It's just not what it is. Like, I don't think that there may be, in the world of big tech or whatever, there's, people are scared that they're going to lose their jobs or what it's going to look like or this and that. Like for an agency our size and what I want it to be and the way I'm built, I don't ever want it to take the place of a human relationship because no matter how much work it could do, it can't invest in that relationship. And I think that's at the core of what our success has been over the last 17 plus years.
Yeah. And people ask me all the time too, what do I think? And I use the first way I usually describe AI is it's a tool, and no tool is ever going to replace anything. It's just part of the bigger toolbox. Right. Yeah. And what you just said is so spot on about relationships. And at the heart of any relationship is emotion. And as far as I know, AI is incapable of having emotion.
Yeah. I tell all of our people, and, they know the way I am. It's like a joke. Like I'm the mascot of the agency because I never shut up. Like it's all I do. Like that, investing in the relationship. Like if you can do good work, that's a part of the puzzle. And that's the reason why they are all there. They're all really good at what they do. That being said, for somebody our size, when the what hits the fan, guess who gets the first phone call? Mm-hmm. So, it's about making sure that we are checking in on our clients. We just had one of our clients, she's going through the process of selling a business and it's ultimately, it might end up less business for us down the road. But like I've been on this journey with her now for 1.5 years. and I know what she's gone through. I know the heartaches she's had. I know the hard times she's had. And it's like getting that text message last week and hearing how happy she was on like a Friday afternoon. I was like, yeah, this is everything. It doesn't matter. And she will go out on any limb and on any mountaintop and preach about DSM and what we do and how we do it. And that's all you can ask for.
And at the heart of that is your relationship. And AI
AI will become a more prevalent force in our world across the board, not just in marketing, but across the board. But in my opinion, human contact and human interaction is what it's all about. It's what I've pretty much based the last 18 years of my life. It's my career. And when you're building the puzzle of DSM, that's my piece of the puzzle. Dan's a really good marketer. Zink is really good at operations. Charlene is really good at running books and numbers. And Meredith is really good at account management and running the account managers. And Remy's a really good creative. And all the folks at the agency trickle down. They're learning from that core group of people. But on the flip side of it too, like I tell everybody who comes in, we just hired this young lady, Michelle. I'm like, I need to hear from you what you would change here, because we're as good as you just graduated college. Like you're at an age now where you could probably come in here, even though you think you're learning from us, we're going to be learning from you. And so feel free to speak up. Feel free to, if there's something you don't like about the agency, like we've been doing this for 18 years, there's certain core values that are going to stay because they've helped us get to where we are. But like, feel free to speak up. If you have something that you think sucks, like tell me. I might tell you this is the way it is because this is the way it is and it's helped us be successful, but it'll plant a seed in my mind that maybe we can tweak it or make it better or, and that open line of communication too, like on top of the relationship part of it, I think caring for people and knowing that their voice is heard is wildly important. And I think a lot of people don't get it, like just shut up and listen.
Yeah.
Don't talk. Listen.
Well, it's the hallmark, Darren, and I will say this to you because you're too humble to say it, but it's the hallmark of a great leader to not have an ego to go, it's my way, highway kind of thing. And to understand that no one knows everything.
I used to when I was younger. When I started this when I was 30, a few humbling lessons. Now I'm 47. I'm going to be 48 in February. And the older I get, the more I am inclined to just be like, I don't have ask anyone on our team and they'll tell you. If we talk and they bring an issue, I say to them, don't just bring an issue, bring a solution to a potential solution.
Right.
Anybody can complain about anything, but like, let's be proactive. Like, I get it. If something needs to change, I want to hear it, but don't just come to me bitching and moaning about it. Like, come to me with a potential solution and let's try to figure out how to make it work. Because if you have the issue, there was some sort of interaction that got you to a place where you felt it was important enough to bring it up to me. And you probably can see the solution in front of you. So you should be empowered to be able to speak that too, because again, to what you just said, I don't know everything. And the older I get, the easier it is for me to be like, I got to get back to you. I don't know.
Yeah. What are some other traits you think that make for a great leader?
Oh, that's a good one. In my opinion, a great leader, like how many traits you want me to reel off? In my big top 3 to 5 of good leadership. And I'm going to tell you, I'm Gen X. I was born in 1977. So this is going to be a mix of old school and new school. Like I'm a humongous fan of, I'm a Green Bay Packer fan. So I'm a big fan of like the Vince Lombardi type of leadership, but I have kids that are sophomores, 8th grade and 4th grade. And I'm young enough to realize that I also need a touch of empathy with regards to my leadership skill. And I'm learning it with my sophomore daughter. We don't see eye to eye on a lot of things. So I would tell you, first thing you need to have is compassion and empathy. I think that's really, really important to leadership. Having emotional intelligence to know what people need and when they need it, to be inquisitive enough to ask. We joke about it here. Like I said, like I'm not a detail oriented person. I'm not organizationally skilled, but I have a very good barometer within the first 10 to 15 minutes of talking to somebody, how to connect with them. And I think that's vital. That connection is built on curiosity and empathy and compassion. The second thing, you have to have a solid work ethic. So if you ask my son, he's an 8th grader right now. He's playing football and I'm really hard on him because he's gotten big. He's gotten better, but frankly, he can get lazy like every 13-year-old boy. I was the same way. So having a strong work ethic, no matter what, no matter like there are people that are going to be out there and be better. I'll give you an example with him, and I apply this to my own life. I never feel comfortable because there's always somebody out there that is probably doing more than me to try to get better. So I'm trying to explain this to him now that you're one of the biggest kids on the team. You put in the work over the season. You know, you were voted a team captain. Like that's the easy part. What are you going to do now for the next 4 months in order to prove to your teammates that you should be there? Because everybody's gunning for you. And there are kids on the team that are working harder. There are kids that are on the team that are going to get bigger. Like you hit your growth spurt in the next 4 months. There are kids that are going to hit their growth spurt and they're probably going to be bigger than you. So you better keep on working. Right after we jump off this call, I'm taking him and his buddy over to the gym so they can lift for the morning. You know, we have a long holiday weekend. He's not starting school until next week. Put in the work before we go have fun. And I think that's important to the work-life balance of being a good leader. And that takes me into the last part is that having a good understanding of work-life balance, having a good understanding of balance in general, the inflection point of the hard work that you're doing here and the compassion and empathy that come here. If you can put those two together, you can command any room. Because if you're putting in the work to get better, you'll be able to be smart. And on the other side of it, you'll be able to combine the emotional intelligence of understanding people. And if you can be smart and you can understand people, I think that's the inflection point of being a good leader. That was a lot to get to a very simple meaning, but I think that, and then there's 10 other things as well that I think could go into being a good leader.
Yeah.
Where I am right now in my career and my life, I thought I knew everything, you know, when I was 30 and I was brash and I was arrogant and it didn't, you know, there were times over the last few years that I shouldn't have done that. I should have been a better leader. That being said, I think that as you grow, you know, it's like the Rocky, you know, you're a Philly guy. It's the Rocky Balboa thing. It's not about how many times you get knocked down. It's about how you get up. That's how you're going to be judged. Mm-hmm. You know, my son had a scrimmage last night. They got double teamed on a play, knocked him on his ass. I said, get up. Next play, buried the kid. That is what you're going to be judged on. At the end of my, you know, the eulogy that you so eloquently put together at the beginning of this call. At the end of my life, nobody's going to remember how much money I made. Nobody's going to remember how many boards I sat on, how much money I raised. Like maybe they will, but my wife's going to remember me for being a good husband. My kids are going to remember me for being a good dad. You know, the people around me, my friends are going to remember me for the sacrifice, whatever they needed. I pride myself on that, making sure that like if somebody needs something and I can do it, it's done. Like that's how I was raised, you know, shirt off your back.
Yep.
If you can do it. And so, that's that in my definition of leadership, I think. And that's what I try to do with the team at work. That's what I try to do with these 7th and 8th grade boys, you know, and it's hard for them because they're kids, you know, they look at stats. We live in a different generation, you know, of everybody's on social media. How many, you know, how many likes, big plays do you have? How many likes do you have? Yeah. Like I didn't have that when I was a kid. I was, you know, my dad would just be like, just be a leader, just shut up and listen, be a leader, and you will command a room.
Simple. And that's a perfect way for me to end this. What an amazing conversation, Darren. I cannot thank you enough.
Thank you.
What a great conversation. And I can already envision a part 2.
I'm happy to be here, and I'm never at a loss for words. So.
You and me both, brother. You and me both. Thank you again.
Absolutely, Steve. Thanks for having me.
Hey, I'm the guy from the video you just saw. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. Now do yourself a favor. If you haven't already, subscribe to our content. Believe it or not, unconfirmed rumors and reports, you will see an increase in 20% in organic traffic just by subscribing. Okay, maybe not, but it's fun, right? But do yourself a favor, really. Subscribe to our content. You won't be sorry. Thanks.